President Trump's border czar Tom Homan says that the administration is pulling roughly 700 immigration officers out of Minneapolis following weeks of tension in the city. Homan took over the operation in late January after the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy by federal agents.
With 700 officers being pulled from the city, about 2,000 will still remain. In a press conference on Wednesday, Homan said the officers being removed are a mix of Border Patrol agents and ICE agents. But he made it clear that this is by no means an end to the immigration crackdown ordered by the Trump administration.
Let me be clear, President Trump fully intends to achieve mass deportations during this administration, and immigration enforcement actions will continue every day throughout this country. President Trump made a promise, and we have not directed otherwise. I heard rumors we have, untrue.
Homan went on to say that more officers could be removed from Minnesota, but only if they get more cooperation and if protesters stop interfering with the agents carrying out the arrests. Speaking with NBC News on Wednesday, Trump echoed these comments, also appearing to express some regret over how things unfolded in the state.
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals.
In addition, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says that body cameras are being sent to every federal immigration officer in Minneapolis for them to wear while in the field. Noem does expect to expand the body camera program nationwide as funding becomes available.
On the left, lawmakers are celebrating these developments, but they are still asking for more. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz writes on X, quote, Operation Metro Surge is not making Minnesota safer. Today's announcement is a step in the right direction, but we need a faster and larger drawdown of forces, state-led investigations into the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, and an end to this campaign of retribution. And Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said in a statement, quote, the drawdown and body-worn cameras are a step in the right direction, but 2,000 ICE officers still here is not de-escalation. My message to the White House has been consistent. Operation Metro Surge has been catastrophic for our residents and businesses. It needs to end immediately. So, to my mind, and I'm sure we will have differing views on this, but I actually think two things have happened here. One is that the Trump administration's approach and behavior, and the behavior of the agents involved in those two terrible killings, has backfired for very obvious reasons. And just as importantly, the scale of the protests seen in Minneapolis in particular, but also across the country, have actually had an effect. The protesters here, to my mind, have, for the moment, won in the sense that they have pushed the Trump administration back, albeit with these 2,000 people still remaining. I understand why Walz and Frey object to that.
Yeah, I think they want to go in a slightly different direction, at least. I'm glad body cameras are going to be used. That seems like a rare aspect of policing that we can all agree on should be a necessary component of police duties. I think Tom Homan has a somewhat different approach as well, as opposed to Kristi Noem and others. I mean, they're still going to say, the administration, that this is the result of Democrats not participating in immigration enforcement whatsoever, and we were elected to do immigration enforcement, and our voters are expecting immigration enforcement, and it's still our most popular issue that Trump can point to, saying do more deportations. But yes, people don't want to feel like they live in a police state. People don't want to feel like there are armed, masked guards everywhere. Again, it's notable that these were both American citizens who were killed, not illegal immigrants eluding justice. And I think it was untenable to continue this way. And some of the harsher rhetoric from the administration has not been helpful to default to labeling everyone a domestic terrorist. The Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, their behavior, and what you're seeing is a greater degree of professionalism from the people who've been brought in. But they can't admit defeat from their standpoint. They can't just say, all right, you win, no immigration enforcement.
Well, no. I mean, politically speaking, they can't say that. But I mean, I guess my counter to that is it's not a binary choice. It's not zero
But
immigration
has Fry
enforcement.
not made it a binary choice?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, someone was making the I thought very valid point somewhere recently. Like, if you ask people, should we crack down on all tax cheats? The vast majority of people would say yes. If you sent people around to like barge into people's houses and get their accounts, people would not support that.
Well, that goes to the incoherence of public opinion.
Does it? Well, I mean, I think public opinion can be incoherent on some issues, but I actually don't think that's incoherent.
Maybe not incoherent. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just think that you can make the argument that enforcement of any law on anything always involves a degree of prosecutorial discretion. In other words, someone who's jaywalking is breaking the law, but we don't think that every person who jaywalks should be seized by the police.
Sure. Let me put it this way. Incoherent was the wrong word. I think people are maybe naive about what enforcement looks like, or what it practically involves to get you the thing you want. I mean, people will say, even without an enforcement mechanism, people will say, they don't want handouts. Nobody wants a handout, but they support protections for their jobs and minimum wage and things of that nature. They don't want socialism, but they want all the aspects of socialism if you don't call it that.
Right.
They want, they don't want big government telling them what to do, but also they want, vice discouraged in our society. People want, we were talking about gun control yesterday. People, I think, a majority of the population supports the Second Amendment. It supports the right to have guns, but probably a large number of people will also say, but we want common sense gun control. What does that mean? Do you want to confiscate the illegally possessed under current law firearms in just this city? Would involve a massive, massive police door-to-door search and racial profiling that no one is going to stomach. So you can say you want something, but we can't wave a magic wand and have that policy implemented with no consequences and no inconvenience to any innocent person.
No, well, I mean, that is a whole abstract argument that we could have at greater length. But here, the people who have pushed back against Trump have succeeded. Up next, President Trump is reportedly planning to install a Columbus statue near the White House. Robbie will be happy about this one. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with that.